live on Facebook. Go live. Hi, good morning, or good afternoon if you're from Toronto and East, and hi, good morning, and good afternoon if you're from Toronto and East. So I'm trying to do some housekeeping. Just want to make sure everyone's um, so bear with me. I'm trying something new here as well, and um, I'm on here. I'm just trying to do the Facebook thing, and here we are. So hi everyone, welcome for joining, and I really appreciate that for taking the time to join me. Hopefully you can hear me well, and I don't have the help that I have from last week, and I mean 2 weeks ago, and really I'm doing this at the background on the backyard, and hopefully you guys can hear me well and type to me. I'm kind of doing my double duty and trying to be the meeting admin as well. So really want to connect with some investors who are starting to doing it out there for themselves, and whether you're active investors or passive investors. Um, How everyone, and I'm just a meeting along the way. And again, let me know if you can hear me okay, or let me know if you cannot hear me as well. um, yeah, so this is the kind of like the second series of the meeting that we had from 2 weeks ago, and we have a lot of great attendees. We have a lot of great attendance. We have shared a lot of great content on how to get a loan from investing in apartments, right? And so we have over 25 attendees, and I've just share with many investors on after offline, and we we I just laughing see the gyms. I just laughing see the gyms. So I'm just, but anyhow, so I'll be meeting people along the way, right? I'll be meeting people along the way. I'll be meeting along, and I will be I'll be continuously doing this presentation. So it's about an hour long, just so you guys know and girls know, and it won't be too long, and but it will be enough details so that I share a little bit of insight as doing this for a few years now, and how do you really the key thing is really for a permanent investor. Um, the key thing, obviously, the first thing is how do you find those deals, right? And how do you find how to work with investors? And I really sink in the four things that I will actually go into deep diving and talking about today. Um, is that we'll call it the pump, and it's really how is it, are you bankable? Are you just gonna see the notes here. Are you proven? Uh, can you manage the asset, right? And really, is it passive enough for investors to do it with you, along with you? So I'm gonna share some of the actually. I bring the whole binder with me on the deal that I'm closing, And I love to speak from concrete. I love to speak from the actual how we're doing it. What actual things that we're going through, and we're reviewing on the asset. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of great informations, and a lot of actual experience, how we started. So without further ado, let me jump on the next slide. Um, so first of all, thanks for joining us. I know everyone's busy. Everyone's have thousand things to do. Economy is opening up, but thank you for joining us in midday in Calgary times, where I'm residing in. Is 11 a.m. In Toronto, many Eastern time, whether that's Toronto time or in the States. You guys 2 hours ahead. It's 1 o'clock, and from the Vancouver, some of you in the morning at 10 a.m. So really grateful to be able to chat with all you. We have either communicated on Facebook or different channels, and so yeah, it's a great we say channel to be able to talk online without with physically meeting. I was in Toronto meeting investors last week, and from one group, Pig and Keyspire. So long and short is, I'm really appreciative for people who join us, and I love to connect and love to share what we're doing. It's part of continuous educating investors, or just like manager like ourselves, and to connect, to share what we really love to do, which is investing in apartments. So thank you, everyone, and so a little bit of ourselves, who we are, where we are, what we have done, so on and so forth. So we started in 2006, and as many single family investors, and we started investing condo in Calgary. That's where we call it home here. And we started investing in the U.S. in 2012, starting single families rental, just like a lot of us has started doing it. And and along the way, we pick up duplexes in Winnipeg, and we pick up houses in Calgary, and really just really for, like, and then we also invest in Hong Kong, and because I'm from Hong Kong as well, so we pick up some apartments in Hong Kong. So we are a good mix. We say we have done various things along the way, and we learn a lot of things along the way in different market, and how different strategies works, and different strategy wouldn't work. And I would say it around so it's 15 years of really investing in what is, they give us a lot of learnings working, whether that's working with investors, whether that is hands-on experience dealing with tenants, doing managing the projects and oversee projects, different country projects, you name it. So but we really want to sink in on today's meeting is, how do we do multifamily projects? And I think that's really exciting, and that's really what attract us to share with others who are on this journey, on back end of this journey, and um, how do we help. So I started out like everyone else who don't really have a lot of experience in the multifamily space. So we started in multifamily 2017 in the US, and we joined groups like Keyspire, our mentors, Pig, in 2016-17. And so that's kind of a little bit of who we are, what we do, and we love to share. So I have a uh, meetup group, and also have a weekly Zoom. As you, this is the weekly Zoom for all you guys joining me. So and we like to share, because that's the way to connect with other investors. That's the way to educate investors what we do, how we do it, and we find it very favorable, very beneficial. So I strongly recommend for everyone who are trying to have a voice, have pick a niche, and go pursue that. So that's a little bit of what we do, who we are, and how we started, and sharing online and stuff like that. But really, you know, For if I were you, I'm coming for this meeting. I'm coming for this meeting. How do we buy apartment buildings? And the headline of this Zoom is how do you turn $1 million asset into a $2 million asset in 24 months, right? And you see this. Um, it's what is the formula? So this is actually um, our actual asset that we own and we purchased and we turned and literally 1.3 millions and turned it to 2.5 millions. So again, if you are like me and want to do apartment investing, so this is it, right? Whether you want to do active or passive, it doesn't matter, honestly. Um, that formula is there. You know, we turn asset from 1.3 millions, put in the quarter millions to renovations and work and stabilize and lease up. And then 24 months, we turn it to 2.5 million US. So and we pick a market in Dayton that we really think that's of our advantage, and we still do it, continuously doing it, as I use an example of on this presentations. We're closing, and we're closing another asset, 69 units, and we're using the same strategy, right? Using the same strategy, the number is bigger, but really it's the same idea of finding the right asset. And really the four things that I'm going to talk about is really have a really high relevant, really relevant to what I want to share about how do you turn asset from 1 million to 2, or in this case we're buying 69 units and turning it from 3 millions to 6 millions. um, so I kind of rounded up the numbers. So long short is the formula is there, but it's really when I started out, I have run into so many challenges in terms of how do we work with investors the proper way, how do we find the asset the proper way, and how do we attract the lenders the proper way, and how do we create a credibility, so that investors and look at us thinking that we will be able to uh, work with and trustworthy. So we, I run into a lot of those, and that's what prompted me to share. That's what prompted me to share, and to really to educate, and that's so many investment opportunity out there, and there's so many partnership out there. So and I don't believe in uh, there's only one deal for for many investors to come. That's I don't believe in that. I believe in joining force, whether that is investors or partners, to go bigger deals. So that's part of why I point me to share the formula, and it's not a secret formula. So yeah, so this is it. We did it a few years ago, and we wanted to keep doing it, and we're going to partner with investors to keep doing it. That's a key, because we are going after very big asset, pretty decent sized asset, and it's way easier to do it with partners. So um, so what is the formula really? I said it's no secret. It's no secret, right? I kind of like open book. I bring in my whole due diligence folder along with me, and that's no trying to unmute this, mute this. There's no secret. I said there's no secret because in 2021 everything is online, and if you really need to find um, information, everything is online. So that's no secret, but that's way that that will make your life easier, I think, and that is things that you can do, and that is something that when we starting out, we learn from great people. We partner with great people, and to really um, when investing in apartments, there's a lot of things you have to do, and I specifically single out the four single things on today's topic because we have another 15 minutes to go. So, um, so what are those, right? What are those? How do you, um, I call it proven, provable, bankable, um, manageable, and passive. So I think of those four things for today's for today's meeting is really come down to that is the secret but not so secret formula of how to return 1 million asset into two, right? And we want to make this meeting as a chewable um, 60 minutes call so that investor can ask questions, right? Can investor can have um, biteable size and informations to learn about how we do it along the way, and we're still doing it to this days. You know, coming down to proven. Um, how do you prove that you are worthy to reinvest things, right? And we're going to deep dive into it in next slide. And how do we saying that we, the bank need to give us work with us and to able to get the bankable loan. Um, but it's coming down to proving the I'm doing it right now um, with with my assets. So this is like the 125 pages appraisal from the bank. And how do you prove that? My NOI is that, we're increasing from 300 to literally 600, double the NOI. So, and we have explained what is NOI on another meeting. So, what is that, right? What is NOI? Net operating income. So, again, is this is not to to a meeting that's saying that after you come and you'll be able to do it, but it's I want to make it as a chewable size information so that you can go out and start. Okay, this makes sense. Okay, when someone talk to you about apartment investing, okay, this is what they're talking about. So, but if for the few one that you want to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself, and this is a starting point. So so we talk about proven, right? We talk about bankable, and and then the next thing is for today's is really topic is about managing. Is it manageable? Really, when you look at that, is really the proven and the bankable is really the leading or the kind of the roadmap for the manageable, because you have to manage it after so you said that after you said that you are doing those things. You're proving that you're credible. You're proving that 5-year plan that um, this is where um, the financial picture will go, right? And now you have to do those things. The renovation process, the renovation plan, and really managing asset when managing the people and managing the property manager. So all these things, how do you execute that? And that's probably one of the most uh, challenging parts for new investors, right? And we have that. I have that. I learned it along the way, so that's great, so that I can share. And then last but not least, we're talking about passive investments. So passive, it's I have a really beef because I have a beef on this kind of thing, is when we say that we partner with investors, we want to make it truly is headache free, and we go into details on what is that, what do we means for that. So um, so we talk about capital, big thing on last meeting. I put in here, but for some of the new attendees want to look at how do you really um, what are the investor capital and how do you get the loan and things. So that's a meeting that I did 2 weeks ago, and so that let me know if you want a recording of that. But today's meeting is really talking about those four things. They're proven. Are you credible? Are you bankable from the bank? Can you manage and execute that process of doing the value add, which is what apartments investor is all about? And then you're making it passive enough. So let's start it. So um, so let's skip this. So partnering with investors, as we talk about, is those four things. So number one is proven. Proven. Are you proven? So when we all started from working, finding a deal, like I single in with one single item is proven. Working with investors, building trust with investors. But I want to say that this does not stop at investors. It's meaning when I say proven, because it's a credibility thing, right? As you know, when you go all out, and I'm sure many of you guys go out to the world and talk to your friends and family, and first thing they're gonna ask you, have you done it, right? And I know, and I used to be stumbled upon, right, on this, like have you done it, and you haven't done it, you haven't done it, and that you have to tell the truth. And if you never done something that we did, or other people who have did it, turn assets and into and from good profit, making good profit, and you haven't have a successful track record, and you still have to, uh, in one way or another, on your communications to others, that you are on the urge to be proven, right? So, but I want to give you help, right? And it's not, it's not a plain just sales call, and then hey, this I'm proven and work with me. So I touch on a few of this, but really, there's many things you can work with your investors, your lenders, your broker, and anyone um, um, within your investment community, or your picture that you're the callback as a major lead investors, and you have many things you can do, really. So I snapshot a few things, that on the screen here. You can essentially, basically, when you talk about proven, is investor asking a question in their mind, and you have to address that. Is you have to prove it, make it proven before you proven. That's probably the hardest things. And the simple example of creating credibility and is knowing what you do and document all the things that you have done, and showing all the track records that you have. You know, Even though it's small track record, it doesn't matter, right? You don't have to have lists of like property, like I showed in my screen here. You don't have to have that. And what is your plan with the asset? So, and many of times, when you talk to prospective stakeholders, investors, let's just call it investors, because we start with investor capital. What's your 5-year plan? So you say that you're going to improve the rent. Okay, that's great. Don't stop there. Okay, don't stop there saying that you can increase the rent. Put it the detailed 5-year plan, and what is income from the top? What is other income from the top? What's EGI from the top? Effective gross income, and put in all the expense. Right? Was a vacancy uh, from the start? What is a mean a cost from the start? Was a property tax? Let's go on and on and on. Insurance, management fee, admin fee, marketing, a utility, um, contract services, and payroll. So all these things matters, because when you paint the picture to when you put it all in the detailed format in Excel, in the underwriting software, and all this does not only will give out good pictures to your investors, but you give yourself a clear picture of what you're going into. And that is one major things when we say we go out and prove ourselves. We were not proven, right? We were like everyone else. We were not proven at that time. But putting that into a plan in the 5 year performer or meet, even though it is future, it is projected, but it gives you a 5 year plan of what you're working with. Not only that, if you give you confidence that now you are on the urge to be proven, right? Again, make it proven before you are proven. And but the simple thing is create credibility. You tell your investor you know what you're doing, and this is the plan. You can stick with the plan, right? And 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 that's give investors a really good comfortable feelings that you have a plan, right? On when you purchase a property, when you stabilize it, improve it. So, and all the other things that I talk about here is, I don't stop there, right? I don't encourage investor like yourself to stop there as well. So, what's your bio? So we have a bio, right? And we have a 2 page bio. It's not fancy or not anything, but tell the story. What have you done? And they want to get to know you, right? And you want to tell like other people what you have done, your real estate track record and your experience. Again, is another document. If you have purchased 15 properties, 20 properties like yourself, put it there. Put it in Excel. What is the purchasing cost? What is the rent? What is the year to buy? What is the purchase price, right? And what is sold for if you sold them? What did you do? What is your renovation cost? And how much money you make? And what maybe another thing is, what did you learn about it? What do you learn about it? Even if you did okay or even not so good, what do you learn about it? And so that give investor a lot, again, comfortable feelings of knowing that most investor would not start from multifamily from day one. They would be like us, who's starting from different markets, right? Winnipeg, Calgary, Phoenix, and then eventually and single out to multifamily. So many investors will have that kind of single family experience before they jump into multifamily space. So I encourage you to document it because it helps you to help the investor to picture who you are, what have you done, and that is so huge. That is so huge. And so that is a part of proven, by the way. So if you don't have the one slide like this, turn 1 million to 2 in 24 months, which is great. So you need to have this, right? In fact, I I recommend everyone to have the proven, which is the plan, the 5 year plan for the asset, right? Your bio, your real estate experience, your track record, your execution plan, and of course, don't miss the property package. Hi there. Hi everyone. Sorry, I'm just muting because it's easier to chat, easier to show. So just so everyone's um, aware, we have a little bit of 5-10 minutes uh, time at the end, and trying to make it so that we have a chance to network and chat after we finish the presentations. So again, if you don't have this, you want to have one. You don't have the high level that we have done it. We have worked with investors, so on and so forth. Um, we want you to have like this is a strongly recommended. You want to show that you're proven. You want to show that you have the experience. You have what it takes. It's a sales presentations, right? It's a sales in conversations with whoever you're going to be touching on, right? With your investor, your lenders, you want them to knowing a little bit of yourself. So moving on to proven, I'm so where is I touch on things that the very truth is no one start any projects with a track record. No one start doing apartments with a long list of track record. No one does. Everyone um, start to be proven by starting doing it, whether it's partnering or whether that is going on themselves. So we go on ourselves. So one thing that I want to touch on quickly is don't be discouraged if you're not proven yet. No one's starting from day one is proven. I said that ago already. And it would take a few years, honestly. It would take a good few years of continuous work and before investor thinking that you are stable and you're trustworthy. And don't be discouraged with that because that's just how things it should be and it would be and will always be. So be consistent. I don't like it to be sounds like cliche, but the goal is really at the end of the part. So if you are a persistent investor, will knowing that, and they will so they is a thing that I see so many investors starting out 6 months, 3 months, and they don't get any track record, and they are discouraged. So it's I understand it's hard. It's supposed to be hard anyway, because it because it's is a good thing to do multifamily. So a lot of investors attract to do that. But trust me, if you've done a few projects and you have done even one project, investors we started talking to you, and keep doing what you're doing, and have those documents, have those credibility package we talk about, and do your due diligence. When you do your due diligence, be organized. You have other tabs. You're gonna show your work. You show you have reviewed all the leases, right? These are all the leases, uh, 500 pages big, and you want to tell investors you have done all the work reviewing all the bank statements, right? Reviewing all the bank statements and and utility bills, right? We have it here, and this is utility bills. Again, it's really thick, and you want to tell, you want to paint, you want to give the idea you want to give the idea you're doing the work, but you actually need to do the work anyway. May as well tell, to have a system, have an organized system, so that you can go back and forth, and be organized, and that will help. So having a plan, so this is for strictly for active investors. If you're like me, and again, I don't want to make it, this is just for passive investors. I love partnering with passive investors. That's all I do, but I also want to give back. So educate your investors. Don't stop educating investors. Don't stop sharing your plans. You like me years ago started sharing your plan. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna do it? Over educating them. Don't be discouraged if someone don't jump on with you from day one. The crazy thing is, and there's no one will anyway. So don't caught up. Be patient. Be consistent on your messages, on your communications, and no nows means that maybe later. And you heard that. Keep me informed and educate them for forever, continuously. I have a story, and before I move on to this next slide, is I have a 50,000 investors. That was 2017, and we touch on, and we never get to do anything. And I keep him on my email list, and slowly, and my emails hit his email, and eventually, so he invests after 3 years of messaging emails. So this kind of thing works, by the way. The reason why I want to share is this kind of thing works, and if you keep doing what get communications, and you really keep doing the actual work, investor will be able to tell. And another story is one of my $40,000 investor turned into $200,000. It's not happens overnight, but it will happen. So be consistent on your message. Be uh, be be supportive. Be educational. And you know what? Nothing will happen from one day, and it will never be. This is not a get rich quick scheme. And even though you can turn asset and do really well once you get in the role, but at the beginning, no, there's no such thing getting in the role at the beginning. So yeah, so this is proven. Um, so we want to move on to Bankable. So understanding Bankable. So I'm gonna apologize. I'm gonna start to catch up a little bit because we still have quite many slides to cover. I want to keep it in 1 hour settings. I would touch on the things that is really going to help you, right, and help investors to really visualize what are we doing here. So bankable means that from the eyes of banks or lenders, that best example is, I'm sure many investors heard about the financial wall, right? And single family hear that financial wall before, like I had before I jumped into multifamily. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I jumped into multifamily. Um, there's a ways, there's many ways to make it more attractive for banks, for investors to think that you're bankable, and understanding that how bank will lend money to asset, right? Um, what they do like and what they don't like, right? And one thing that they do like is they do like package like this, right? They don't like investor who are not organized. They don't like investor who doesn't know the 5 year plan on the math. They don't like investors who um, who come to trying to get capital, but um, but they don't have a clear understanding what they're going to do in the 5 years and the renovation plan, how much money you're spending, so on and so forth. So be bankable go kind of hand in hand, right? As what we talk about on the proven side. Um, they want to know that you're experienced manager. Again, I understand. First one is hardest, but hey, it's there's ways you can help yourself to be more bankable, right? And I give you an example. You know, I'm gonna touch on a few things in here. Talk about what is bankable means, right? From the first thing, if you approaching lenders, um, and this is 30,000 feet, right? I have all this here, but I'm not. Again, I want to make sure that um, uh, the things that we're touching on are important for you to understand and for you um, to have an idea of how we did it. So you want to have a renovation budget, right? When banks talk to you and talk to me, talk to us, you want to have a detailed renovation budget, and you want to have a loan package, and those usually go hand in hand. Basically, have a clear understanding to give the lenders, the money that you are working with investors or your capital. How does it partner with the bank money, the 30%, 70%, right? So I'm talking about really it's the use of the capital. Sometimes they call it fund use and fund source, the source and the use. Um, and then how do you do your renovations? And you want to educate your bank or your lender how do you do your renovations. And if you start from day one, you know, you if you don't have a good renovation plan, interview 5 property managers, contractors, and from talking to them, you will have a good idea of how renovation should go, right? If not, ask me. Um, and how do you stabilize the asset, right? This is the things that they will answer you. How do you repositioning the asset, right? What's your plan? 15 months, 9 months, so on and so forth. How will you understand the market? Do you do your due diligence on the demographics on the market? Why you investing in this market? Why not the others? Why you invest in this neighborhood? Why not the others? Why this asset? Why not the others? So you have to be um, make it so that easier for other people to work with you. So a part of it is already what we cover: your bio, your experience, your track record, to really show that you know what you're doing. And by the way, most lenders call will review your experience within the 5 minutes. They're able to tell whether you know what you're doing or not. If you have a track record, great. If you don't have a track record, you want to make sure. You want to make sure they understand your visions, right? They want to make sure they understand their visions, and you want to make sure um, you're able to paint the pictures. One I like to say that there's a exact line I forgot, but there's a analogy saying that the first 5 seconds of you talk to another person dictate the next 30 seconds, whether you want to invest 30 seconds, next 30 seconds with that person or not, to have that conversation. And that cycle keep going on like that. The next 30 seconds dictate whether you want to have next 5 minutes or not. And then 5 minutes dictate next 30 minutes or not. So this goes to almost everything we do in dealing with lenders, investors, and everyone that you come in contact with to make it credible to work with you. So, so they know. So be ready before you have the call. Make sure you have their information organized, right? Organized such as this. You can get it in 5 seconds, and prepare it so that is in the format that people can digest, right, and easy to understand. And so that will make you more bankable. Sorry for making such a long way to picture what is bankable and what is proven means, because uh, um, it is a step-by-step process, and you're not going to have everything from day one, and that's okay. But if you do more of those things, the plan, the financial, the track record, the execution, the real estate bio, and the experience, and it will be here, and that will help you to be more bankable and help you to be more investor friendly and proven and have more credible working with investors like that. And moving on to manageable. What does manageable means, right? Again, I said that I want to single a few items, and the third thing is today is manageable. How do you really manage your asset, right? And how do you really manage your investor relationship? Yes, you have to actively investing in managing your investor relationships is a very, very, very key. And how do you manage the property managers? That's probably a few other things you have to manage. But today's, I'm going to single out those three things because it's very important on related to today's topic. How do you turn the 1 million asset to 2? It comes down to managing the asset and properly, because you have to turn it properly, right? Otherwise, there's no 2 million asset. Even if you can find a 1 million asset to have the potential, there's no end of the rainbow at the tunnel. So asset is really important. And then you have to manage the investor relationships, and we single into that. You have to do what you said you're going to do. You have to do, I'm going to say that again. You have to do what you say you're going to do. You have to make sure you stick with your words. It's so important. There's really no other way. If you are into investing industry or with any kind of investment relationship with investors, that's is the goal. And but you have to manage that well. You have to manage it, and it won't probably come from day one. It didn't for me, and it's a human interaction relationships. You have to get onto it consistently, and then you have to manage the property managers, right? We get into this business not because we want to looking at again, I pick up the leases. This is over 70 leases for this apartment we're buying, 69. So every one of them is one leases. But we don't have the resources to show the apartments. Once we stabilize the asset, once we have a higher property manager, that's not our job to do that. Our job is to make sure the property managers do what we tell them to do, and do not only doing it but doing it properly as per our direction. It's good to have experience for the property manager, but it's even more important as an asset owner, as an asset manager, have a fiduciary responsibility, again, credibility to the investor. How do you manage your property managers? And we're going to talk on a little bit of that. Um, I said managing investors is really important. So that's why I talk about it right now. So do you really do what you say you're gonna do? For example, we pay on our deal, we pay 7% cash flow. You know, um, with investors, that's a cash flow part, and then we have 18% total. Uh, so 7% cash flow and 18% total, um, and that is 18% return per year. So so for how many years we hold it? Say 5 years. So you said you're gonna do it. You better do it. In fact, there's no alternative. That you if we're so lucky we didn't manage we didn't miss any payment. We're so lucky that we in fact we able to do that. But I encourage everyone. In fact, it's not about lucky or not. It's about doing what you said you're gonna do. An investor will follow you along the way. If you do what you say you're going to do, investor will follow you, because honestly, that is a part of big part of investor relationship. You say you're going to give the cash flow, give it, and give it, not only give it on time, and give it so that the investors can help you to market for you. It's not options. It must be taken care very, very, very seriously. So manage the relationships of investors. So something that I haven't really talked about is so I haven't talked about, I haven't typed it. Is the communication has to be consistent. It has to be on top of managing investor relationship. You know, I don't. It doesn't really matter how you do it. Whether you text or you are in person, or you are um, or you are going to coffee for lunch, updates, and those monthly call with investors is not optional, by the way, and it's not only keep investor uh, in, in confidence intact. In fact, improve it, because it shows that you have a post sales service, and you want to keep them informed anyway. This is what you say you're going to do, and keep them informed, bring them. I just come back from beer in last Friday with one investors. We go for beer, and we go for coffee, and we have so much fun talking about life in general, but we also talk about business, right? Don't get me wrong. So you do those things. Why? Because it's important for your business. So you said you're going to have investor relationships, not because that you only want that cash. You need that cash, and they know that, you need that cash. The investor are very smart, but do what you say you're going to do to have an ongoing relationship. If And plus, it's much easier for you to raise and attract investment capital along the way. So do those things. So and you will, if you really love this business. By the way, it's not options. Do those things. Um, and because it's funny things, I learned investors not only want an investment relationship with you, not only want investor client relationship with you, they also want to have a relationship with you. And speaking from experience, now I knowing that that's the easiest way to raise capital for your business. So do those things, and it's fun, and it's great to do it. It makes your life so much easier. It makes everyone's life so much easier, by the way. And so manageable on the second bullet or the first bullet is managing the asset. You know, it's come back to, I have like 10 questions here, so I'm gonna and I'm fine along the way, because we want to get to the bottom of this slides or this presentations. A few things is like, you need to know who are in the property right now. I mean, tenants, right? Are they families, like couples? Are they singles? What's the demographics like? And you will know by when you're walking the units individually. And I did that when we inspect the property. You have to know how often the tenants move, right? 30%, 40%. Every market a little bit different, but that's kind of the rule of thumb, right? And but you need to know in that area, in that market and submarket, what is What is it like? How often do they move? And good grips of all this by asking or by verifying with your manager. You need to know the asset occupancy right now and futures and the market, and what is the condition of the asset. This is you have to do the physical inspections. So managing the asset entails all these items, and it's not that you have to specifically just do those. When you do those packages that you can send to investors, you have to have that anyway, right? um, so you have to know the demographics, right? This is my example. I'm currently closing this, working with investors to do that. And um, and um, oh, this is a good one. The investment payout. um, and So the pictures, you have to know your asset, right? What is the asset like right now, and how do you want to improve it? Really, it's when I say manageable, is managing the asset is really no brainer, and that's the first thing you should know when you look at the package, when you look at the financial, when you're looking at um, physical inspections, and um, the list go on and on. Managing the property managers, are you on top of the financials? The financials should be coming from the management software. What is the occupancy, as we talked about earlier? What is the current rent roll when you're buying asset? What is a P&L? P&L means profit and loss statement, so income statement, how much money you're making. Hence, so you have the top line income, and then you have the expense, and hence you have your NOI coming at the bottom. Um, so those are the financial part. But the really, really key thing on managing the property managers is coming down to site visit, right? Coming down to site visit. Do you do your site visit? Do you do surprise site visit? So I do both, and I do surprise site visit because many of you will curiously ask. I bet, so that you trust and verify, right? It's keys by terms is really really powerful. You trust and verify. Do you trust them? Sure, um, but you verify. You don't just blindly trusting them. And trust me, if you do those, you will give so much confidence to your investors that they want to work with you, and because they know you do those things, you on top of the occupancy, on top of the rent, on top of income, and you're on top of the physical condition of the property. That's what you do when you do surprise site visit. You look at unit that you want to particularly do screen check, after you reposition, after you buy it, and you have so much more. I know we have so many technologies right now, your FaceTime and everything, but that still does not replace surprise visit to keep your team in um, um, performing. It's very key. You said you're going to be working with investor as a fiduciary responsibility, working for them and make sure the asset they invest is a good buy. You better do those. Um, so we touch on bankable, proven, and manageable, and then we want to really spend a few slides on passive. So many investor thinks that passive is as simple as applying the financial strength. And I have a beef and I have a visions of what this passive investing means. And in my mind, passive investor means investor write one check, which is the investment check, what they investing in, and it should not be anything else after that. That's the only one thing that you should be asking investors to do as a passive investors. Remember, this is a partnership relationships, right? Investor coming from financial things, strength, financial commitment. But many investors, active investor I'm talking about, have a misunderstanding of what this means, or I should say, you want to make the passive investment as passive as possible, and I detail it out on next slide. So again, investor write one check, And then it should not be, in my opinion, it shouldn't be anything else. It should be receiving checks from me, from active partners, all this, like, consecutively. The cash flow check, the growth checks, whatever you promise, do those things. And and I don't expect, I personally, I don't expect investors to know about my market unless they want to, right? Then I go to at length and educating them, and they're investing in your deals. But if they know market, great. If they don't and they want to educate them, send them a report, send them the demographics, send them the sales comps, rank comps, the list going on and on and on. And I don't also expect investors um, need to provide anything to the lenders, right? Because it's not the deal, it's our deal. They just invest passively. So I'm not using the credit. I'm not using anything other than the capital they're supplying in. We are using our strength, our credit strength, our line, our own financial on the line to close the properties. That's very, very important. And I don't expect investor to have cash call. And I read it here, bolded here, it's not an option. The fastest way to any business, apartment business, any real estate business to go out of business, fastest way, in my opinion, is to think about it. The next worst thing is to do it. So you said you need so much investor capital. You work hard, investor give you what they have, and that's it. So it's a non-starter, by the way, but I put it here in case some investor would think about that, or if they power experience working with other managers, other asset managers. We don't do that. If you have cash call, figure out a way to do it. In fact, if you do your property due diligence properly, you wouldn't need to do it any cash call or any capital you have to chip it later on, whether it's yourself or investors. But investor cash flow, that's 100% no. And I don't expect investors to know anything about the asset, about what I have talked about being passive. I show them, so that they know that they're working with a good manager, but they don't need to know. Unless they want to know, then I will send them closing package, which have the loan packages, which is have the insurance, all the mortgage document, and all the due diligence on leases, everything that I showed it, and in this uh, sorry, this book, or this this box. And so I don't expect them to know anything, but I'm educating them, and as part of creating a credibility, working with investors for that relationship, and setting up and working with investor passively also means setting up monthly calls. There's a B here. Monthly cash flow call. We talked about already, reporting how the asset's been doing, performing, any challenges along the way. So those are important. Do those, because that's a part of the passive experience, the passive investment experience. And so we touch on a few things. Send the checks you say you're going to do no matter what. Forget about the cash call, non-starter. So single this, highlight this, and I didn't. So my bad. Treat your investors as gold, because they are. Without them, your projects is just as well as on the paper. That's it. It's on the paper. So remember that, and put it on the wall, wherever that helps you. Constant communications. And last part is most important, as I talk about. It is not a numbers game only. Investing into investor relationship with you, and only you. So make it worthwhile for investor to put their hard-earned capital and working with you. It's not taken it lightly. So example of what we're doing, we're closing our apartments for 69 units in 45 days. So this is a bullet points what we did, right? Of what the things that we told you to do, and then we put a highlight. So if you're ever showing something like this to your investors, that's what you have to do. You walk the units, right? And when do you walk the units, right? and you said you're going to walk the unit, and we walked on last month on 12 and 13, and we're closing it in at the end of next month. Have all the LP structures in place already. We have on lawyer's documents another 50, 60 pages on what they have to sign on. So get that ready. I didn't touch on today's because it's kind of um, out of the topic. But get those signing document ready. Have a credible lawyer company firm to do it, right? And summary. Give them summary. As I said, you don't. The investor doesn't need to know all this, but educating them. In our case, we're increasing the rent 150 to 175 rental increase, and we have eight units out of the 69 units already proven with rent premiums at what we said the market would do. You know, what is the target investments in return on investment? 18%. That's what we said we're going to do. Again, credibility, say what you do and do what you said. 7% cash flow. And what is the target? Holding term 5 years, 4 years, 45 years in this case. So it detail all out and put it and all the informations into the property package. So this is what all the things that we said, the bankable, passive, and the managing, and the proven, is all this is basically summarized in this, right? And feel free to ask me for a copy of this, because that is what you said you're going to do, and that's how we do it. So I don't mind sharing that. And so be clear on the investment payout. So we're doing this 5-year term investment. You quarterly investments, quarterly paying check is 7%. So you have 5 years of that. So that's why 7% times 5 is 35% for the 5 year. And then you have annual growth of 11%, because the 18% is the total growth. 18% is total growth per year. So you have 7, and the rest is 11. And 11 for 5 years is 11 times 5, 55. And that is paid out at the end of the investment term, at the end of the 5 years. So day one, you get your revenue from the properties. So you get cash flow check from day one. Investors always meet with projects that you have what is it called, the frozens. You have the 6 months, the 9 months. So our projects is not like that. We believe in respecting the capital by immediately distributing the cash flow. That's what we said we're going to do. And first cash flow check is 3 months after the closing, and it's really simple. There's no 6 months. There's no frozen period. There's no waiting period. Sorry, I was waiting. There's no waiting period. So starting from day one, and be clear, this is a U.S. investment. So all the funds is received and invest in U.S., and all the cash flow and returns, and also the back return of the capital, of the return, and also return of the growth is also in USD as well. Be clear, and assuming the investor doesn't know, that's how 18% per annum work, and that is why project like this, you're gonna investor is gonna get 90% for 5 years. So 18 times 5 is 90% 90% return. So further on, this is some of the highlight that again, 30 miles down, 30 feet away on the sky. This is what we are and how we did it. Acquisition of 69 units at a price of what? In this case, 3.38 million, 48,900 per unit. And we have successful experience locally with asset that we know perform. Show you on this topic, increase from 1 million to 2.5 Um, 2.1 is because it was last year price. So and then what is your local understanding on demographics, and you have to keep explaining to investors. We know this assets really well because it is close to university, it's close to the rich area in Dayton, Ohio, within the 5 miles radius south. So send those comms to investors if they're interested. If not, then just send them cash flow check, right? Get them invest, help them to visualize what you are looking at so that they know it's a sound investment. And more importantly, you are sound investors by working with you because you have a system, you know what you do. Those things that I talk about is kind of make sense eventually. It's a proven, bankable, passive, and manageable. So if you do those things and you will continuously be able to buy those assets. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna quickly go to the end of this. So yeah, so I know I shouldn't do this, but I couldn't help. I put in the investment apartment as good as investing in gold. Although it won't come down like Bitcoin, like 50% discount in 2 weeks. I'm sorry that I have to say that, showing what happened. And the only thing is better than laying eggs because it have cash flow checks. So that's so much interest in investing in apartments. That it's have cash flow checks, and in fact, there's so many capital chasing apartments. Uh, as like this.
Hello.
So again,
Hi,
I think I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. Hello.
how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Shine, for asking me to walk closer. Finally, can hear you guys.
You talking to me, Howard?
Yes, Roger, how are you
Yeah.
doing?
Good, good. I was just trying to send you a note. Your reception faded near the end. I'm just going to send you a note saying reception faded near the end. Might be interested in being a passive investor. Would have more interest in being a co-sponsor. If not this, on another one.
I would love to. Yeah, Roger, I know you still in California these days. You're Canadian,
Florida,
Florida,
South Florida.
and love to do passive with you. If you think this makes sense, we have the land is ready to go, and so yeah, looking forward to if you need more informations, and we have the rent rolls, we have the rent potentials. We have to do the due diligence. We're closing it in 45 days a month, so we'd love to do this or next one.
Okay, yeah, we have a couple under contract in Central Florida to sell. Supposed to close the end of July. So we might have some money that we want to do something with. So that's what we're thinking about.
Yeah, that timings were perfect. Yeah, actually, if you have, I would love to get into a call with you, Roger, after this, and to see how we can partner.
Okay, thank you, Howard. Good to hear. I didn't hear all of it, but I heard part of it. So I got the gist of it anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger, and nice to have you.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, Howard, it's Derek here. Sorry to interrupt. I was muted just because I got my kids running in and out here all the time, but I had to jump on late. Are you going to be sending a recording of this? Just because there was the first few slides that I really wanted to see in your presentation there, but I kind of came in late. So I just wanted to confirm that. And sorry if somebody already asked that.
No, yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, Derek, nice to meet you. Yeah, I will send out a recording. That's a recording. I send a recording at the end of this, and so that you won't miss the first slide at the beginning. Thanks for coming, and no worries. Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah, sorry if that question made other people go out right now. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, we Yeah, we all have different time, and as I really appreciate for you to come in at I know it's a kind of midday, and it's kind of last minute video call. So yeah, hey, we all have to make it work one way or another. So great to see you, and ask me any questions that you
Yep.
want.
I don't have any questions personally at this time. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the beginning. Actually, the one thing, how long have you been doing this? I might have missed that at the beginning.
So we have been investing in real estate since 2006, and yeah, we talk about it about ourselves. We invest in single families, just like everybody.
Yeah,
And 15 years ago, and we invest in Canada, Winnipeg, and Phoenix. And in fact, I also invest in Hong Kong, which is where I'm from. I'm from Hong Kong originally, and but we really started investing in multifamily in 2017, and we partnered with people, investors, 2018, and a few years, not a lot, but we are experienced, and we love to work with investors.
awesome. It's good to know. Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
my pleasures. Yeah, no, thanks for coming again, and yeah, and if you need more information, so jump in the call, and be pleasure to do that. And I'm just reading some of the messages. Um, so yeah, I'm sorry, Karen, the audio cut out. I hope that there's not a lot. It looks like it's the last little bit of that. So yeah, we're closing this in about a month, and so we at 80% committed capital. We ourselves we put in 300,000 onto the investment as a skin on the game, and we're raising just under $1 million. And so from now on till the next end of the month, which is the closing time, and we love to talk to more investors, and if you need more info, just let us know. And so I know there's quite a few of you still online. Now's the time to let me know if your questions. If not, then I will I will start the meeting, and very nice to see the turnout.
Yeah,
Hello.
thanks for everything, Howard. I'm going to check out, but hope to see you again soon for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eric. Yeah.
Take
we'll
care.
see
You, Howard.
I have a question.
Hey, Johnny. Hey,
Yeah, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, good. Normally for these projects, bank needs how many percentage down payment normally?
Yeah, so it's very good questions. Um, it depending on a lot of things, depending on the project itself, and depending on the some project itself. Meaning, is it a good investment from the bank perspective?
Okay,
And then there's also so the things I talk about, the cash flow, the NOI. The bank look at a few things, but one thing that they particularly looking at, two things is the LTV, as you mentioned, like the is usually between 20 to 40% ranges for asset like this. But
okay,
one thing that they do looking at is really the DCR, the debt coverage ratio, which is basically another way of saying that after you paying all the expense on the property, how much money you still have. And that ratio usually is starting from 1.2, meaning that after all the expense, right, you have your top line, right, of your income, and after all the expense, do you still have $1.20 to pay the debt service? So 1.2 is really just the kind of baseline, and then some assets as usually is higher the better, is 1.6, 1.7, or 2. So those are the typical numbers. Is a ratio between the NOI and the debt and the debt you're servicing, the debt service, the DS. So yeah, so it's ranging from 20, 25, 30. It's really popular to 40. So we're buying 3.3 million. So the bank will be looking for a million, so like a million around that, give or take 1.5 million to as a down payment.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to say that every lender is different, right? Some lender let you get away with higher leverage. Some lenders doesn't. And it's part of our work as a due diligence to make sure that you get a good loan, right? You get a favorable loan, favorable term, and it's again coming back to the passive idea. Is you don't want the investors to do all these things. You want to do it yourself so that the investor is really just writing a check, and it's really getting a cash flow check. So come back to I find it really handy. Come back to the sort of things that we talk about. To be passive, then you have to work on those. But to answer questions, between 20 to 40% is kind of typical in these days. Yeah.
And you are inviting from the investors this 30 to 40% down payment, correct?
Yeah. So there's, let's say 30%. So your own capital, like ourselves, plus the investor capital, right?
Ah.
Because it's very important. We work the projects. We also have skin in the game, right? And that's how you calm the investors and giving. I say that is putting the money where your mouth is.
Mm.
And so it's really helpful for investor knowing that you also partake along with them as a managing partner. Yeah.
Okay. And this 7% cash flow, that means that is the money which each investor invested, correct?
Yes. So if an investor put in 100,000, so
Ah,
7% cash flow per year would
per
be
year.
seven.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then divided by 12 monthly that will be the cash flow.
That's correct. That is
Okay.
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
7%. Again, this is, let's say 7,000, right? It's a
Ah,
7% of 100,000, right?
yeah.
And then
By 12.
if it's monthly cash flow distributions, then will be that 7,000 divided by 12, right?
Yes. Okay.
And
Got it.
if there's a quarterly, then you use the 7,000 divided by 4,
Ah,
and then there's also is a per year thing, right? It's a
yeah.
per year thing, so it's a 5-year investment. Then you will have the 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, right, each year.
Yeah.
And so
35%.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And
Okay.
I'm just gonna say that on top of that, you still have the 11%, right, growth each year.
Yeah.
So that's what constitutes the 55% at the end of the investment, because those are not cash flow components, so to speak. There's a
Mm.
growth component.
ROI.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hope that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
no problem. And let me know if you have more questions, and be pressure to be talking to all of you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So yeah, so we only have Roger and Jim and Nada. So you guys have further questions, or we can jump on the call, let me know. I just put in my phone number in case you want to connect to me. And here we are. So this is my cell phone number, and the thank you, Jim. You're good. Rich is on my site. Perfect. Um, awesome. Good to know all of you, and looking forward to share more, and and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, John. Bye, Jim.
simple kutture.